and welcome back to the Stitch Goddess podcast. My name is Elizabeth. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Elissa Pack. Show notes will be found on my blog, which is thestitchgoddess.com. Surprise, I'm back. It's same day, different podcast, because now I want to talk about some finished objects, current works in progress, and some future plans. From some finished objects, I finished quite some time ago my Kingston tunic. It's got this enormous cowl. Oops, I haven't trimmed my ends. But I finished this, in record time. This took me about 5 weeks to finish. This was from Andre Maury. The back has the same diamond-shaped pattern all over it. Oh, this yarn from the Wool Days is so soft and so amazing. I couldn't be more pleased with this. This was really hot to knit during May and June because we had some extremely hot weather, but I'm going to be so happy because this is done and ready for fall. So it's all washed, it's all blocked, the yarn is, it's just perfect. It's a lovely blue. Really, really pleased with this, and I can't wait to wear this in the fall. The other finished object that I have, I only have 2 right now, but they are my, it's the No Mind to Worry socks. These are by Jane Burns Designs, and I used the Wool Barn Lustrous Sock in Belle Epoque. And what's really special about these is that they're beaded all the way down to about here. And I had never done any kind of beading with knitting, and I just thought I would have fun with it and try it and see if I like it. So it was a really lovely pattern. The yarn was exquisite to work with, and these were my birthday cast on. So Danny from the Little Bobbins Knits talks about how she does a birthday cast on every year, and I thought I saved a special skein of yarn for these socks, and I still have quite a bit of this yarn left, so not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to enjoy it. But these socks are all done, and I couldn't be more pleased with how these turned out. So those are my 2 finished objects for now. The socks, I forgot to mention, came from Jane Burns Designs from the Lazy Sunday knitted socks, and these are the same socks on the cover. And she did not use the Wool Barn, but you can see the color is virtually identical. And so there are 4 more designs in this book, and I have lots of sock yarn, so I'm sure I will be doing the rest of these designs. I haven't actually tried these socks on yet. It has been too warm to really wear socks. It's been way too warm to even wear a sweater. So I will let you know how they wear when I finally put them on. I think they're going to be fun. But lately, I have been knitting monotonously on my Maytham shawl. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart from Curious Handmade, and I think from episode 9 of the Stitch Goddess podcast, I was right where I have my little snowflake marker, and you can see I've made it all the way through the green peridot section, and I've moved back to the main color, and I am now on these marathon long rows, 525 stitches per row. I have 21 rows to go, My goal is to finish this by the end of July. I have 4 days to try to finish over 12,000 stitches. But I will try and see how it goes. That's my goal, but I am not going to... I will push myself to try to finish this, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't, because knitting is meant to be joyful and it's meant to be enjoyable, and I have just absolutely been thrilled to work on this, and I feel like if I start something else that's new, I will end up not focusing on this, and I really, really want to finish this and get it washed and blocked, because it's just stunning. I'm so glad I waited for this green to come in, because I think actually this is how it will end up looking. It's not very clear, is it? But the pattern is really, really lovely. This is inspiration from The Secret Garden, from the Secret Shawl Society by Helen Stewart, that's Curious Handmade. And I'm using skeins of Apple Fiber Studio. The variegated colorway, or the speckled colorway, is called Mossy Rock. The solid colorway is the Sparkling Cider base, and it has a little bit of stellina in it, and that one was called Peridot, but this is called Mossy Rock, and the green just pops right out of there, and so I'm knitting furiously on that one right now. The other thing I did the other day, I had stored some yarn in my Handmaids by Olivia bag, my butterfly bag, and I am using like a rainbow of colorful yarns to make little birds of happiness. And this is the first one. It's red. It didn't take very long at all. It just took me like in about an hour or two, maybe two, because there was some time in between when I had to put it down. His head is sort of turned to one side, so he looks a little bit quizzical, but he's all stuffed and plump and really, really charming. We have cardinals here in Tennessee where I live, and it's just such a bright pop of color when you see them flying by, and they're really inquisitive kind of birds as well. So I'm going to make probably, I mean, I have 14 50-gram balls of colors to use, and so I will try to make, I think I can make at least 2 birds, possibly 3 per little skein, little ball of yarn. But that's my next short, quick, not mindless knitting, but very quick result project. And what I will do is make a long string of birds, and that's the goal for these little birds. I've talked in the past about my 2018 challenge. I came up with 18 projects for this year and paired it up with all of this yarn that I had in my stash, and my goal was to try to use up some of my yarn before buying more. That has not been quite as successful as you may have noticed from the last 2 videos. But I noticed that I had 5 projects to go to finish up these 18 projects. 1 sweater, 1 pair of socks, and there are 3 shawls left in my queue. And I'm going to be rearranging my projects because, first of all, this was sort of an impulse to just dive right in and do, oops, snowflake caught on a stitch. This was a real, not so much impulse, but just a joyful impulse to do this shawl. This was not planned, but I had the yarn, and it was part of the East Tennessee Yarn Crawl, and I bought the yarn. I'm using it up. It is so much fun, and I just enjoy it so much that I don't want to just finish this and then start another shawl right away. I think that diminishes the work that I've put into this and the joy that I'm going to get out of it. And my husband keeps telling me, you don't wear shawls. And I don't during the summer because it is too hot and it's too humid. So I don't want to end up with a whole bunch of shawls that I'm not actually going to wear. So I want to be more mindful of what I am knitting. And having finished my Kingston tunic, what I think will be more valuable is to focus in on some socks that I want to knit and a few more sweaters, because then I think I will be ready for fall, ready for winter, with the ultimate goal of having a handmade wardrobe. And so I have the yarn to make 4 more sweaters. The next sweater that is in my queue is Dragonflies by Joji Locatelli. I'll be using Madeline Tosh, I want to say it's a Tosh Twist DK, something like that, in the colorway Sachet, which is a bright pink. So in addition to all my pink socks, I will have a big pink sweater. There's also the Branches and Buds sweater, and I will be using some yarn that I have had in my stash, also Madeline Tosh. It's the Long Rider DK in Kenobi and the Watermark colorway. As far as socks go, the pattern that I have in my queue right now is If a Mermaid Had Feet, and I will be making probably 2 pairs with this Wool Barn cashmere sock in Duck Egg and Lake, because these 2 colors are super gorgeous and it's going to really show off the pattern really well. I'm really excited about that. But I'm also looking at yarn that I have already paired up with Hermione's Everyday Socks and Emily's Favorite Socks. Some of these socks will have contrasting heels and toes, maybe even contrasting cuff, but I think part of having a handmade wardrobe is stocking up on some of these things. I am looking forward to donating a few sweaters that I have in my closet and replacing them with ones that I have made myself, which I think will be I will be much more likely to reach for something that I have made than something that I just purchased out of necessity several years ago that I don't particularly like. So I think that's the goal for the next few months. I will be rearranging my queue on Ravelry. You can find me on Ravelry as Alyssa Pack, and you can take a look at what my queue is right now. It has more projects than you can imagine. I think there are about 25 or 28. There might be a fewer number, but if you look closely, you'll find that for Hermione's Everyday Socks, I think I might have 2 or 3 pairs, 2 or 3 yarns attached to that particular project. So I've been using that as inspiration. So that's what I've been working on lately, and I will see you very soon, hopefully with a finished Maytham shawl by July 31st. That's my challenge. So please wish me luck, and I wish you happy knitting. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.